Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another month of the Chichester Chats. It's me, Phil. Lilith is here. Kristen is here. And
hello.
The man, well, the branding tells it all, Mr. DB Chichester. Hello, sir.
Oh, good to see everybody. Phil, you are now prophet, prodigy, and fanatic. I don't know if I can compete with these labeling systems, but we'll do what we can. Good to see everybody.
Biggest bullshitter here. All right. So
I think the late night format allows us to loosen up a lot more than.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. We used to do this on Saturday morning.
Exactly.
All right. So, yes, we are back. If you listened last time, we covered Rysk #1, and then, yes, we got a new issue this time. So, that's right, kids. We're going to cover Rysk #2, set in that far future where everything sucks.
Yeah, unlike our present
today,
day paradise.
I'm like, wait, that's the future.
Yeah, exactly. It's looking better and better. Give me an Antarctic, virus. I'll take it. So I don't know if this is because of the screw up with whatever's left of Diamond or what Diamond has become. I don't know if this is yet in stores. I mean, we have a preview copy, so folks listening, you may be getting a little bit of a big spoiler alert or a good tease of what's to come, but I'm told it should be in stores this week. But they're at the mercy, as a smaller publisher of what happens with the with who's distributing these things now. So it's tricky place to be.
Well, with the whole Diamond thing, I mean, wasn't everybody at their
No,
no,
really.
Marvel and DC weren't. I mean,
because you gotta remember DC and Image use Lunar, and then I want to say it's not Pinkish Publishing, but it's like a branch of Pinkish Publishing that Marvel uses to get it out. So it's kind of just the smaller ones that are really at the mercy, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then when there's screw ups like that, then the stores have to make choices and everything else. It becomes that's always been the problem with the direct market, is it becomes a domino effect for both retailers and publishers. So,
all right,
we'll get it together.
Yeah,
yep,
they're starting to. Yeah.
Yep.
So, what was the deal with the variant cover on this one? Like, one's a wraparound cover, right, and then the other one.
Yeah, I think he's doing that consistently. I mean, he did that on #1 as well. There was a wraparound version, and then there's this call it the standard version. With the one image, and then the back is, I think, a pull image and a pull quote. From the book. I mean, it's playing into the variant. Gimmickry. Some people like the variant covers, and it's a good way to, I guess. Mix it up a little bit. I don't know if Black Box is doing big premiums on the variant covers, but it's certainly an option for readers and for retailers. Did you get were you asking, is there going to be a variant cover, Lilith, or just that?
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that just going to be like the norm for the rest of the books?
I believe so. I believe each one will have, a wraparound, which he seems to like. Dimitrios Zaharakis, the publisher, seems to like the wraparounds, and so he seems to have at least one artist doing one for each issue.
Okay, cool.
So I like the beginning of this issue where we see our main character here. She's always been into betting and teaching the kids in the schoolyard about betting. And it's like, okay, well, if you have one candy bar and and this is what 1 and 2 means, and 2 and 1.
Infinite candy bars.
Exactly. If I can only hopefully influence some small impressionable children with comics and teach them how to bet, then my job is done. So
I was just waiting for it. And then if you don't bring the candy in the next day, you get your legs broken.
Exactly. Well, that's we still have issue 3, so there may be another little
flashback.
There may be a little flashback tease. You're stealing my thunder, Phil. So no, there's not. We flash back to somewhere else. It became a good device to sort of set things up for Ruby to kind of get that out there, and also do a little primer on bets and things which I needed as I was doing the book, just to kind of remind myself what were, different terms and what do they mean, and because I'm a terrible gambler, and so to try to make my way through it, I needed my own primer.
I mean, we covered a lot of this last time, but it's like, do you feel more comfortable like what script are you on? Are you done with it? Are you done with the series?
Oh, I've been done with this since I wrote this in parallel with Black Armor. So I've been done with this. Wow. I've been done with this for a while. I mean, maybe that's why I picked up on the, I did something similar in Black Armor. I had those small, like, little flashback, vignettes, with Matt and his father in the gym, which worked out nicely there. That wasn't trying to kind of mirror that, but that may have been an influence. So I wrote this concurrently, with that, and finished it around the same time that I finished the scripts, or rather the plots, not the scripts. The scripts would come later because Netho and I were working plot and then script as his art came in. But so, I mean, this has been done for a little while now. So for me, it's a little bit of a, revisit and like, hey, that's pretty cool. That worked out really well. Or Lorenzo, or the letterer, other folks, will ping me sometimes and say, hey, I just read the script. It's really good. Thanks.
So do you feel confident enough to place many bets? And
no, I would still be a terrible gambler. I when they used to take quarters at the slot machines, at Mohegan Sun or any casino, I would tremble, like trying to put like one quarter in, and then I would have no idea what I was doing. I would just pull the handle and go with God, because I couldn't tell what was happening with all the different lines and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that I'd be very comfortable, although I do think there's something really interesting about, and she gets into this more as it kind of goes on, what's the meaning, why do people gamble, like what's the thrill of it, what's the reason, and that
not
was something
winning.
kind of
Spoilers.
No, right, but it's the thrill, and that opens up, I think, a little bit more next issue, even as we get into a kind of a sporting game that's developed, in this near future, sort of based on some things, but it's its own thing. It's not quite a Quidditch, but it's a, standalone game, and we sort of develop that to have a little bit of commentary on what do people get from gambling? What do people get from, events like this? And in this ruined world, they need something to kind of thrill themselves with.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it, but this issue, even more than issue 1, I felt the Chichester, like I would get one, like reading, like back in the day reading Daredevil. It not that the first one was bad, but this one felt more like you. I don't know why.
He was in the groove. He set up the world building. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how first issues go. You have to set up the world. There was a lot of heavy lifting, and this one they're actually like into it. They're doing the con. We got. I get a chuckle out of every time. Graph tech. I love it. I love it so much.
It's fun. Maybe that is it though, Lilith, and that's the world building was was a bitch. I mean, it's and it was and in this other series I'm doing for them as well, I really, I didn't really appreciate, how much you get away with when you can just say, Hell's Kitchen rooftop and office building, or Times Square or something like that. And it's not like I haven't described situations or settings before, but this was a lot. And then a whole cast of characters, and then again the same thing with the with the series that will be coming out after this, or maybe concurrent with this. I don't know what his release plans are, but that's I told him afterwards, I said, can I just do something in a warehouse with one chair and one cardboard box, and not and of course,
a British TV show.
Yeah, exactly. It's like early Doctor Who or something. And But unfortunately, like he's pitched something else that's going to have just as much, just as much world building, probably, if not more.
Oh yeah.
Even if it was only a cardboard box, they'd still find a way to make you explain all the corners of the box or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or I would put
in
it upon
fact a
myself.
Tesseract.
Yeah, right. And I would make it more complicated just by nature of, and suddenly I would have to explain there's a multiverse inside the cardboard box, or as you said, all the corners, and what do they mean, and where are they pointing, and I would do it to myself. So
would you say you're more comfortable with like working in like a grounded, like modern real world setting?
No, I mean, no. I mean, I had a lot of fun with this. This was really fun to kind of put together and build this out, and then the next one's totally opposite genre. It's sword and sorcery, so it's not like I'm staying in a safe place.
Oh, yeah, no.
But no, I mean, it's just the amount of work you have to do. You have to. It's just a heavy lift of you don't have any characters. You have nothing. You can't sort of just say Foggy walks in the building, or Nick Fury comes down the hall or something like that, and let it go with that. You have to set up everything. And I think what I finally ended up doing was like doing a preface to each script, where I had all the characters laid out up front, and then as I introduced new characters, I would put them as kind of like a forward to the script to get it out of the way, so it wasn't interrupting the flow of the script to suddenly introduce Mal, who's the heavy who shows up, here toward the end, and suddenly having to stop everything and describe him. I was able to do a bit more of that up front, make it easier on myself and Mannix.
And I was gonna say, I mean, it's different from like your Daredevil run because you don't get that years long. But again, that's like the nature of comics these days. That's a lot, except for a chosen few. It seems like people don't get more than a year.
Some people, I don't think, from what I've come to understand.
Oh yeah,
they right.
Want it, yeah.
They don't want it. They sort of like, I was talking to Netho, and this isn't about Netho, but I was asking him, not him, but why does some artists only last like 4 issues or 8 issues or something? He says it's, they just get burned out. It's a lot of work, even though I knew lots of artists who worked 24, 32, plus issues. Like to have a regular book was a gift. But there's a lot of heavy lifting.
Damn, Gen Z don't want to work anymore.
No, I mean, there's certainly, yeah, I mean, there's certainly a high level of detail that's demanded of the artwork and probably of themselves, and rates haven't gone up, for most artists. So that's a tricky thing where they have to kind of then maximize what they do. It's not like, I can survive on a 22-page or 20-page book. I have to do a bunch of covers, and I have to do a bunch of stuff, and I have to go to conventions, and I have to. There's a lot of work involved.
And I've heard they've offered like Amazing Spider-Man to a lot of big name writers, and nobody, like a lot of people don't want it because they're putting 2 issues out a month, and they're like, I don't want to be doing 2 issues a month.
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't offered it to me, so I mean that's.
Oh,
I mean, you want us to manifest it for you?
Hey, no. You know what I want for you? I saw that the latest run of Daredevil is going to end at 25. I think I know who I want to write the next volume.
I was thinking more Carnage.
Oh,
yeah, definitely. Well, that would be the first storyline, wouldn't it, Lilith? Carnage and Daredevil, together again for the very first time. And the men in red, it would be certainly. That would be.
I mean, that sounds like a great title for a team up book. The Men in Red.
Exactly. Right. See,
and then, I mean, there's so many choices of guys who wear red.
Yep. We keep going at it. Everyone shows at the end of each issue. Somebody new in red shows up. By the end of the storyline, you've got like 50 people in the book. It's great.
Oh, so I was watching Poker Face, and this reminded me of a phase that I went through. Like, so like in the literal like the confidence man thing, there's like all these weird names for like the gambits that they run. Did you research any of that by chance? Because those names are kind of funny.
A little bit, but I mean, I focused more on the, on the betting angle and the versus the con angle, right? They weren't to my mind. She's the sharpest of the group, Ruby, slash Rysk, but the rest of them are odds makers. They're her muscle, or they're her hacker, or her protege, in odds making and bookieism. So I didn't play them so much as like say like Leverage, the TV show Leverage, or whatever, where they're all grifters and con men working for a good purpose. I played it more straight, from the idea, she's got an angle, she's trying to protect her people, she's trying to do good by her people, and that's sort of the extent of it, as far as she can see it. And then what's going to happen over the next 3 issues, past this one, is it's going to change the, in Kirkism, change the conditions of the test, so that it's going to go, very different places, and it's going to put people at risk, and she's going to have to make big decisions. And,
he said the thing.
I did that part too.
I did that. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's, for me, it was a lot of fun how it evolved. But it still stayed true to her wanting to do good by these people and protect them in a lot of ways.
And I mean, was it naturally because of who the character was in your mind, or did you go out of your way to say, okay, I have to show Ruby as like a good person in this world that, sometimes is filled with not so nice people?
I mean, you'll pick up on this, I think, hopefully, with the flashbacks that get to where she is now and what she was trying to do. Yeah, I think she's a decent person, and I think she like everybody else in this world was thrown into a shitstorm, and a lot of things were undermined for her when she was kind of on the cusp of thinking something was going to happen different for her. The world was going to open up, and then the world collapsed inward. And we don't cover exactly how she got associated with all these people, but it's alluded to, and I think that's, to me, it was nice to have a character who is a hard edge, and is not afraid to do hard things, and will have to make some hard choices, but in essence, I think came to me as a kind of a decent person. She wasn't horrible or thoroughly jaded, or take no prisoners, in that burned out, the world is burned out, so therefore I am, too, sort of way. So I kind of let her, I think I've said this before, but this is, I find I like the characters to take me places more than I might have in the past, where I try to force fit them into things. And so I let her kind of guide me, to what she would be and who she would have in her world. And, if she meets her mentor, and, what's the mentor mean, and all those kind of things. It felt very natural, as I went, through it. And I had the luxury, I wrote them relatively quickly, all things considered, but I had the luxury of a little bit of time on it. There wasn't a hard deadline. It's due next week, which is, the flexibility, I guess, of a smaller publisher who doesn't have this on the schedule. We didn't have this on the schedule yet. So I was able to kind of work it through and go back and change some things, and, find the rhythms, or maybe the Chichesterisms, of it, the whole, the scene ends at, the pickup on the scene, ends with her, and that's how you take home all the candy, or something like that, right? I think it was a pretty fun line, but, it came to me after, like, I had that scene in mind, but I didn't have the line. But then when I wrote I think I wrote the preface out of order, so then when I wrote the opening, that connected, teaching the kids what betting is with candy, to a line like that, which I like. I like those kind of, patterns and rhythms and things like that. So I had the the opportunity to go back and forth and bookend things.
And is it fun to write probably the modern story thing with like to build an AI or virtual assistant who's either a smart ass or plays like the straight man? Or...
Yeah, it was tricky, and I first came up with it, AI, and the Chat GPT and shit was really just starting to kind of break wide. Again, like this is 2+ years ago at this point. So I had sort of come up with the angle before it all sort of broke wide, and then I second guessed myself a little bit. Will this be horribly dated? By the time the book comes out, or are you chasing it too much? But I just did enough to serve the story, and I'm not trying to overthink it. And Rysk as an AI and Rysk as a character will evolve over the next 3 issues as well, in her own right and in tandem with Ruby. And so I did some additional research on what that would mean and how that would work. And again, just patterned it in just enough so it sort of maintained that flair of the world. And now we fully call it like cyber whatever, cyber thriller, even though for the longest time Demetrios and I were going back and forth of not wanting to call it cyber. But I think I said this last time, but once Manic started to illustrate it, it's like, well, it's clearly cyber. So stop worrying about it and just roll with the punches.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last time. The minute you put like metal parts or cyborg enhancements on people, it's just like, yeah, people are going to call it cyber.
Yeah, and it's also the look he gave it. The description we sort of try to put forward a lot was to have it be a lot grittier, a lot sort of more real
Did you
based.
want to like near future, a little more grounded, or?
Yeah, I think so initially. Yeah, but he he picked up on this whole very, I'm going to say, ghost in the in the shell, sort of like feeling and the vibe, and then the colors do the same thing, and it all does it justice, right? It's all, I think it looks great. I think the whole vibe of it's fine, but once you sort of put that sheen on it, it even more so is that. So you just have to kind of shrug your shoulders and embrace it. It's not bad. It's just not what it was originally in the head, but now it's this, and that's fine. And it makes it easier, frankly, to kind of describe it when people are saying, well, what's it about? And you say it's like a cyber thriller with a heist angle, and it's got this, which would be it's a lot easier to telegraph to people.
I mean, this tech could be the near future, Lilith, if we still believed in science.
Well,
yeah, there's
the tech bros
part.
Who want to be the president still believe in it. I mean, we still have a lot of great advancement in cybernetics, actually, when you go to look and stuff. I mean, the android stuff is actually falling behind, but the actual cybernetic enhancements of humans actually being viable and working, that's actually really scary, honestly, when you start to look into it. So it's very much could be very near future and pretty grounded. Probably in the next 10 years, and people will reread this and it'll be pretty grounded. Hopefully not, but maybe the rate we're going. So,
well, hopefully not the melt part.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, well,
hopefully not. But
we don't need melts. We've got plenty of other.
We've got a lot of environmental protections getting eroded here, and
right.
So.
Listen, chew on a little asbestos. Everything makes everything better. It's good.
Exactly. A little lead, a little asbestos, and microplastics.
Yeah, then you're fine. See, that's a weekend. That's a weekend plan.
And I'm also interested in seeing, are we going to get more with her old friend? Is it Violet?
Yeah, Violet will play a little bit more of a role, I believe. And I like that. I like that kind of came out very organically in the story. That wasn't part of the original pitch. That wasn't part of the original plan, as it were. But as I kind of, as I said, unwrapped the story, I felt a need for that kind of character. A need for a mentor, a need for a sounding board, a need for pulling things from the past to advance the story. So I really enjoyed that, and I could see more of that coming if we ever go back to this world. She plays a little bit more of a role in maybe the next issue, I think, but she doesn't become a major character. is just enough to kind of flavor it through. But I could see going back to her and doing more if this, warrants a revisit at some point.
So,
but it'll tell a fairly complete story, by the time we get to the end of 5. It'll tell its whole story for this, and then it'll leave it in that way of like, would your readers like more?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I definitely like. So the book is called Rysk, right? But we haven't really delved into Rysk itself, and I'm like really eager to see what the end goal of like how Rysk actually turns out and integrates with Ruby, and pull that push pull a little bit of like, I don't want to listen to you, I don't think you're right, kind of thing. I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, and you'll get more of that for sure. And obviously, it was a play on obviously the risk of gambling and the risk of betting, and I figured Rysk sounded a little edgier than Ruby. But they really are one. I mean, they are a reflection of each other. And as the book will go on, the merging, if you will, will become more evident, even though they will stay distinct, characters in their own right as well. But the Rysk is as much about everything she's doing as an odds maker, and also the risks that will be taken.
In the world she's living in.
Just live in the world she's living in, and then the situation she's going to get into with Mal now, and everything that's going to unravel from there. And I had a long conversation. I'm sorry, Phil, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to ask, since this is set in the world of betting and everything, did you purposely drop? You were like, I have to drop in the classic Marvel line. You just hit the jackpot, Tiger.
Did I put that line in here? I should have, if I would have thought of that, if I was clever. No, I did not feel the need to
leave a review on Goodreads with that one, Phil.
Exactly. We'll put that on League of Comic Geeks. Why didn't you use this line? It's so obvious.
You did use it. You did.
I know.
Not only does Chichester tell a masterful story, but he knows his comic history.
He knows how to play it out. But it's sometimes things like that come up, and it's just fun. It's fun to play with the space.
Mm-hmm. I was just
Kristen, you're being quiet.
Okay, so is 5 issues like pretty typical for a miniseries now or something?
I don't know.
Period.
For maybe for a series. I mean, I think it's been Black Box's model.
Okay.
He's found.
I mean, it's a lot of the industry. Marvel's been doing like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, that's 100 pages of story. So.
I guess that's true.
Do you feel that's too short or too long, or what do you think?
I feel like it's kind of short.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of, when you think about books that run 20 issues, 200 issues, whatever. But I think
nobody writes 200 no more.
Well, but I think from a from an independent publisher point of view, it's probably a safe number, right? You get to you get to play something out. I think their model is also based on then collecting that into a trade and then making that available. So it's I think it's a proven model for them. They've got whatever upwards of 15, 20 titles or more at this point. So it seems like it's worked out, pretty well for them to do that. And then whether they come back to a world again, that's up to them. He's Demetrio seems like he's chomping at the bit to start to kind of do some integration. He asked me to do one little bit in this, which worked out fine. So there's a little in issue 4, I think there's a little or maybe 5, there's a little nod to one of his other books. And we do that with the Sword and Sorcery one as well, not like in a hugely integrated way, but just to sort of start to create, there's like some cross synergy. But
yeah, they had done that at the beginning and then slowed down a little bit with that.
Yeah,
That's good to know. I kind of like when books get to do that within like especially smaller publishers. I think that's really cool.
Right, it's all his big sandbox, so why not? But I mean, it's 100 pages of story, Kristen. That's not insignificant. So if you've done a decent job with that, that's a nice chunk of pages. If you've ruined it, and hopefully I haven't, then that's then that's an interminable amount, for people
so
to
if the
suffer
people
through.
do want more, you do have an idea for the next series, though, right?
Not really. I haven't thought about it. I mean, I think I wanted to tell a complete story. I left it open, for more to come, and probably in a tonal shift that would also keep it really interesting. But I looked at it as, this is this world, and the sword and sorcery one, which follows, um, uh, he seems to like that one well enough that he wants to do a follow-up to that one. So my mind is more toward what happens in the second part of that one more than anything right now.
Just remember, short loincloth to the artist. That is a must.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get plenty of musculature. Yeah, Rodney's not shy on the rippling flesh. So
good to know. It's very important in a sword and sorcery comic book.
So did you say you're already thinking up like a second part for that one?
Yeah, he's asked me to do that one was written after this, and then again was done a while ago. Like it's probably been at least a year plus, since I finished that one. So, but he seems really jazzed about Rodney Buscemi is the artist on that, and I think I showed you guys a picture of it, last time, and it's looking, really just wild. So he seems pretty. Demetrios seems pretty jazzed about it. I guess maybe he sees potential in it, and he wants to do like a part 2. So I'm trying to figure out what that's going to be.
Is that? I mean, why is the hype over that one? Is it just his because he likes because like the
I think it's I mean it's his world. It's his as a publisher, he gets to kind of run with it. I mean I think he's very happy with Rysk. Unless he's lying to me, but I think when you look at this which is possible, but when you look at this other one, I think it's just immediately a lot more the over the top nature of it may
fantasy's really making a comeback.
Yeah, exactly. So he maybe just be saying, let's ride this and play this out and sees that as an opportunity to.
House of Dragon says you're welcome.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I assume is that one a fantasy, whereas this one's more sci-fi. Does
fantasy... that one's total fantasy. Yeah,
does fantasy sell better?
For Black Box, I would say yes. Honestly, that's kind of their bread and butter for a lot.
Yeah, he does a lot of that there.
Future. Well, yeah, like recent past,
yeah. But I guess.
Well, yes, lots of swords and sorceries and dragons. Medieval Professor Kristen.
Yep. No dragons, but flying paragon-like creatures. So I didn't do any dragons, but there are Lovecraftian. Nasties and giant wolves, and it was the mandate was like lots of fighting, lots of monsters, and I said I can do that.
And they fight for 15 pages. Have fun, artist.
No, I didn't do anything.
No, he don't roll like that.
Although that would have made my life easier. Yeah, I mean, this that takes nothing away from this story. This plays itself out, really, really nicely, and it's great. It's fun to build the world in this way, and leave enough doors open.
Not to keep jumping ahead, but yeah, on the next one, like again, I don't think you've even announced the title yet, but is that one have like a main character like Rysk, that like one main character like Rysk does, or are you gonna have like a bigger group element to that?
Oh, you're talking about the other series?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought you were talking about like issue 3 of this.
I know.
No, and I'm dancing around the title because I don't think he's announced it yet.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give it away. Although once you see the character, you'll sort of figure out what the title is. But but he's got a sort of a. It's similar to this, you know. It's a main character, and he's got some characters that kind of come in and out as a supporting cast, but they're not, you know, it's not a team book, you know, or anything like that. And by the end of the book, you know, he'll go off on his own, and you know, he could return to some of them at some point in the future, maybe with the second story, but it's not of necessity. It's a much more, you know, Conan sort of model, you know, wandering, you know, death, you know, and menace, you know, across a magical landscape, you know, sort of thing.
No, I was just going to ask. I was just going to ask you: do you like writing a solo character or a team book? Because again, back in the day, you did Nick Fury with a Shield team, handpicked Shield team around him. You also did Daredevil, but it's like, do you like more the group setting or the solo, or has it changed over the last 30 years?
It's I mean, Fury, even though he had Fury is much like Rysk, right? I mean, Fury was the main character, but he had a supporting cast. You know, Ruby and Rysk are the main characters, but they have a supporting, you know, cast, you know, with her team, you know, her book or odds makers, you know, which are going to get a little bit elevated, but you know, it's very much that way, but it's still singularly, I think, that character's book versus something like the X-Men, you know, or the Fantastic Four or wherever, where you are really doing a team book and you have to like load balance across all those, you know, parts at once. And you have to make sure everybody gets, you know, their moment. And I think I prefer this, you know, this balance, you know, where you've got a central character and then you've got an interesting, you know, group around them. A couple times I've done some team things. You know, it's fun, but I like the focus on. I think I just like the focus on one character and ultimately elevating that up a little bit. You know, I'm writing another thing just on my own. I don't know where it's gonna go, but it's sort of like a horror, you know, story, and it starts off with a big cast, but then as I kill them off,
as all horror movies do,
in a you know,
each more gruesome than the last,
a little bit. You know, it ultimately gets down to the one or two characters who I like the most, and you know, then they have to carry through or not carry through the, you know, the last moments. It was a relief at some point to start getting rid of some of the characters because, you know, they had sort of outlived their usefulness. You know, all right, I got the point. Kill her, kill him. You know, do whatever. Move on.
And this ain't the 90s. There's no editor to say, "Oh no, pull it back, Dan, pull it back."
Yeah, but the only time they did that, like I told you, was when
horrible.
I went the wrong direction. And I saw Ralph Macchio, the Daredevil editor, at this Phoenix convention I was at, and I reminded him of that story. He was laughing pretty hard.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. How'd the con go?
It was good. It was good. Hot. I mean, talk about hot today. It was
Phoenix,
very hot.
yeah.
Phoenix is like dry your mouth, walk out the door, dry your mouth out, heat. So that was you know, that was a good show. Yeah, it was a good show. I mean, a lot of security. I guess they had an incident there a few years ago. And so ton of like cops and everything, you know, kind of getting through the screening was really a bit more than I've seen at other conventions, but so they took it very seriously. But yeah, good show. A lot of I put down the challenge to two really exceptional cosplayers. You know, I put the you know, make me a Black Armor costume and get the you know, get the full run of Fall from Grace, and they seemed like they were willing to take the challenge up. They had some exceptional. One guy had a really exceptional Daredevil outfit, so he did a really nice job. Not a Black Armor thing, but just his own interpretation of Daredevil with a lot of like 3D, you know, sort of plating and stuff, you know, across it. And I said, you know, you got to move this up, and he seemed excited for the idea.
Very cool.
I think you need to come up with some big prizes. Someone comes in a Rysk cosplay. if they just
Yes.
or something. Yeah.
Dinner with DG Chichester. If you show up as the
right.
cast of Rysk, it's got to be the whole cast.
Anything off the McDonald's dollar menu. Yes.
No dollar menu anymore. Sorry, Phil. Sorry,
oh,
old
that's
man.
Right.
Old man Philip. You're lucky to, McChicken's like $3. Yeah.
It's like you can't go to the dollar store and find anything for $1 anymore. What's the world come to?
It's terrible. My God. You know what? I saw a story on the news the other day. It was around here. Again, some people are just scum. They found one of those credit card skimmers. Someone had put it on the credit card at the dollar store.
So as people put their thing in, it
and I'm
steal their number. Yeah.
And I'm just like, if people are shopping at the dollar store, they don't have a lot of money, but you're gonna like steal from them.
Well, that's it, right? That's the scam of
somebody
everything.
Tell Ruby to go kick that person's
That is scummy. You are correct.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible. But it's the same thing when people call up. They know just enough about you to put you in a full blown panic and
I have
try
your
to get
grandson.
Your money. No, but like my mother-in-law got a call, from somebody in a panic voice, like with noise in the background, pretending to be my wife, saying she had just been in an automobile accident. She used the names, she knew my mother-in-law's name, she knew my wife's name, and I'm in an accident, there was a kid, he was hit, and the cops are here and the lawyers here, and I need whatever it was, $10,000, they have to put the bail or retainer or whatever it was. But it was all frenetic, and then the cop got on the line and said, this has to happen right now if you're going to do this, otherwise we're taking her away. And it was all built around this panicked, time limited energy. And and if she had access to her computer, it might have actually happened, but it turned out her computer wasn't available. And but this is what people do. They prey on people. It really is. You have to be like diligent about every single thing, and it's not naive people or just people who shop at the dollar store. They'll go after anybody. Social engineering.
It happens to be. That's how big corporations get hacked. It's actually social engineering. It's not like
that's right.
them actually hacking into the mainframe.
Yeah. No, there was a great story.
All those phishing tests they make. As somebody that works in tech of banking industry, please take your phishing monthly phishing test seriously.
You do, exactly, because that's what it's all about. And it's there was a great story, and I think it was the Atlantic or magazine like that, about a year ago, and it was a woman who worked in finance, top person, so she knows the ins and out. She's supposedly like one of the elites that you would say should know better. And between the way they kept her on the phone, the things they were feeding her, somehow they convinced this woman to ultimately put like $50,000 in a cardboard box and hand it over to somebody who pulled up in front of her house or her apartment in an SUV, and it was like, you've been implicated in a cartel thing. You're going to lose your citizenship. I can get, the only thing we can do is like get you a new social security number, and they just kept passing her on to different people. But do not hang that phone up. If you hang this phone up, I can't help you anymore. And this is somebody who should have known better. And
I'm not going to say which company that I worked at, but literally one of the HR managers got scammed out of fell for a gift card scam. And I was just like, nah, I quit. I'm out of here.
Right.
I went into the store one time to buy a gift card, and they were like, "Oh, is this for a gift?" I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Oh no, we just been monitoring, making sure people aren't buying gift cards."
Yeah, Walmart literally has a sign like telling people, "Hey, don't for gift cards, don't wire money." And I'm just like, "Oh man."
Right. Yeah. It's crazy.
Thank goodness Ruby's not like that.
No, and that's the thing, right? We didn't get into the whole grifter scammer thing, although that could be something that goes down the line. But I like, Demetrios came with this very bizarro idea, of a bookie as that was his original pitch. And which I just was scratching my head. How does that work? You know, where do you go with that? And so I wanted to kind of keep. What's that?
I said, but you made it happen.
Yeah, but I wanted to stay true to that. Like he didn't have any concept of the cyber angle or the the melt or the future world or any of that. He knew it was a bookie and there's a heist involved, and and a bit more than that. But I mean, that was
so it didn't even have to be a futuristic thing. He
no,
in a modern day, just regular.
Just in Vegas, business.
Yeah, no, he didn't. That was the long and the short of his. I mean, he had more details. He had some more notes.
Yeah,
how maybe she's telepathic. How does she know the angles? He had some thoughts of his own of how the powers, would work, and how she would function. But because it was so specific, about the bookie, I didn't want to then say, oh no, let's not do a bookie. Let's do some grifters. Let's do some. Sting-like thing or
is that
or
a
whatever.
Harder pitch when somebody is pitching you their idea and you're trying to make that come to fruition, or is it easier to have like some parameters to start from?
Well, I think it's an interesting challenge, to kind of then run with it, and so for me it was, it was intriguing. I think I told you before. I had long ago kind of ghosted him on an original idea he had about a psychologist like years ago. I just wasn't in the right place in my head, no pun intended, with the whole psychologist thing. And so I didn't want to, thank you very much. I didn't want to, lose the, that chance again. So no matter what he said, I was probably going to find a way to make it work. And once I started kind of, noodle at it, then it, it came together and came together pretty quickly. Some things don't come together quite as quickly. He's got me thinking about another thing with conspiracies and aliens, and I'm doing way too much
no,
UFO
you're not
research.
Doing enough. I wanna DG Chester book every week of the year, so you're not doing enough.
I'm
you're not working enough.
I'm not working enough. No, I don't mean that way. It's just I'd like to find. I don't know. I don't have the angle on it yet, and I'm reading so many damn UFO books and watching ancient aliens. Baby. I found the source material for the X-Files, which is a book called Beyond a Pale Horse, which is like total, like you start going down this rabbit hole of stuff, and you watch.
Oh, just go on Reddit, you'll really fall down a rabbit hole.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you're watching Ancient Aliens, and it's every other line is some believe. I'm
not saying it's aliens.
It could be, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. That guy's a trip. Anyway, so to take the initial idea and then just kind of go and like percolate on it a little bit. It was a gift to have that time, and then the little pieces started to come together, and then I fed it back to him, and I said, well, what about this? And so that allowed the new angle to work for him, and he asked some questions, and we had a lot of back and forth, and there was a thing with a helmet that went on forever. Because he wanted like a distinct look for her, and so there's points in time where she kind of wears this helmet, and I said, well, she's kind of got
just classic.
Yeah, and she's got a kind of a distinct look. Once you get the arm and the face, elements, and then Rysk is there with her. It starts to kind of take on its own unique persona. I said nobody's going to mistake her silhouette, for somebody else's, and so we did a lot of back and forth on that even before Mannix got involved. So it was very good, way to kind of unpack the world.
All right, and before we run out of time, I must know: is there any update on Axel's Infernal #2?
No, unfortunately not. It's still in pre-launch. It's kind of kicking the numbers along a little bit, and it's it's not where I want it to be to kind of go into launch. I've got a conversation with Carl in a couple weeks to try to figure out like a strategy around that. So for folks who are listening, axelsinfernal.com, tinyurl.com/axelsinfernal. Go check it out.
Kickstarter, do it.
Kickstarter, do the pre-launch, no commitment, just get you on the early bird list. But the book is done. The book is finished. So it has some coloring and some lettering, but the heavy lifting on that is also done. So it's not a risk, no pun intended on that either, to take to get into that world. But we just want to make sure it gets the right momentum behind it.
All right. Let us know if there's anything we can do.
So yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate you guys bringing it up. So overall, you liked where the second chapter went, especially something new.
It's super interesting. I like Mal for sure. Listen, I love a bad guy named Mal, whatever. I do. Instantly hooked.
And I don't want to give it away because if this isn't out yet, but I do like where you left the issue 2, that cliffhanger for issue 2.
Yeah, the cliffhangers worked out pretty well. I mean, throughout all of these, I was really happy with how it sort of set it up and left that tease, to the next issue. And I again feel like I had the gift of time when you have these, where you're not like, oh, I got to get done tomorrow. And it didn't take forever to do it, but it allowed me to do the right setups and kind of go back then and sometimes tweak things to make sure that it had those beats and that rhythm. Had you read the first one, Kristen, before the show, or you read these both now, back to back?
I did not. Yep, I just read it all together, so it was cool.
And it held up for you?
Definitely.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, kids. So that's what you got to do. Go to your local comic shop. Tell them reserve your black box comics, especially if it's written by D.G. Chichester. So.
Especially. And if you can't find it at your local comic shop, if they can't order it for some reason, yeah, you can go to blackboxcomics.net. They have a website. They have, you can order it from them directly. I think they've got digital
yep, they do. It
copies
comes pretty
as well.
Fast too, if you do order it. So.
Okay. So there, that's a good possibility if you can't. So it's a fun book. It's got some good surprises, great artwork by the whole team, and we'll be back here next month. How is it reading it though for you guys? Because you were so familiar with me working on established characters, right? So this is a whole different world that's coming across all right.
Yeah. I don't see a problem with it. Yeah, I mean,
I like the tech stuff behind it. I do. I think that's where you really thrive, and you feel your enthusiasm for it. You get to put little weird ideas into stuff.
I can put my little techno babble in there. So
I like techno babble. So again, I'm a Star Trek fan, sliders, all that.
Right.
So that doesn't bother me at all. I like it.
No, I like techno babble.
I mean, a futuristic story, you kind of have to have the techno babble. Yeah, I mean, it seems weird if it doesn't have the techno babble.
Oh yeah, no,
hand waving is a no. Give me my techno babble.
Make up some fun terms or some gadgets, and throw in a little mill tech, and you're all set. Bob's your uncle. It's all good.
All right, so yeah, so then issue 3 next month.
Next month, issue 3 sounds good. I'll work on a advanced copy if for some reason it's the schedule hasn't picked up on it, so we can keep this kind of going.
Okay.
And then I'll try to find out from Demetrios when the other one's coming out. Maybe we can do some preview on that too.
Okay.
And if you want, you feel free to invite the artists on any of the books. We'd love to have them too.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, let's do that.
Whoever. Any part of
yeah. No, it's a great team. Both. Everyone's cooking on the book. So yeah, let me find out if anybody wants to come on.
We're thinking we get Demetrius, be like, why did you take a chance on this young writer, D.G. Chichester?
Exactly. I should get him. Yeah, we should get him on. Let him talk up his own stuff.
Yeah.
I'll see if he's into it.
All
right, guys. Thank you very much. I like these again, these late night sessions or later night sessions are I think the vibe is a little more chill and relaxed. So I don't have to be up quite as early. So that's good.
And I'm awake, yes.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and we will see each other in about a month's time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. Be good.
Don't get too hot.
I need that as a drop immediately.
I know Kristen doesn't have enough drops. I know. Although I haven't been using as much drops lately. I need to get back into that. I think I feel off just because I don't know, we're not doing it as much.
Yeah, we're getting back in the swing of things, but it's all right.
That one's close.
Burn. No, diggity dank.
Diggity dank.
Yeah, it's pretty much all I have for Kristen.
I'm here
You're
for
gonna have to go back in the archives.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was gonna say I have a ton of Lilith. All right, kids. So yes, TG Chichester will be back in a month. Next episode, Ray will be here again.
Oh,
as we talk.
Controversial fictional stories.
That's what he
Doesn't
wanted.
Have to be comics.
Nope, doesn't have to be comics. Can be TV, movies, whatever.
I'm gonna have a good assortment.
Once again, just as long as it's fictional. So.
Does Ray have a little nickname like Wonder from Down Under or anything?
Strongest wrist down under.
Oh wow.
Mr. Deck.
He has plenty of them.
The Hard Master.
High Priestess of Country. Yeah, he's got plenty.
Lil, if you think he'd ever go full and be like, hey, you know what your nickname is, Ray?
Tight.
Well, he does a Moon Knight podcast, so he's the high priest. He called himself the high priest of Khonshu, so.
Oh, okay.
That was just a really nice package.
I like to refer to him as
Batman, my favorite character.
Batman's number one
fan. Well, that would be Finn. He's Batman's number 2 fan.
I love his son tortures him with that. All right. So yes, Ray will be here. And then in 1 week, we're going to do a review of Batman Forever for its 30th anniversary. Y'all feel old yet?
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Everybody take your ibuprofen for your knees and your back.
That movie is 30 years old as Chris O'Donnell looked in that movie.
Was in that movie?
Well, yeah, it was.
No, I think it will not be until the 40th anniversary that Chris O'Donnell catches up.
Oh.
I'm going to keep that in mind when I rewatch it.
I was going to say, we'll get into that in a week, but I'm like, didn't that take you out of the movie? It took me out of the movie. I'm like, why does he have to stay with somebody? He's like, looks like he's at least in his 20s. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Way old.
They should have just been like, oh, he needs to go into witness protection or something.
24? Oh my God. No offense, but he's been aging like milk his whole life.
Oh!
Yeah, he looked so old in that.
Hollywood ages you. What can I say?
Not everybody. Maybe he needs to mind his business and drink a little more water and moisturize. I don't know. Told you, those are the 3 secrets. That's what my great grandma, who lived to be like 105, told me.
Again, it's the 90s. Some people aged harder in the 90s.
Oh yeah, a lot of drugs in the 90s too. Not saying he did, but possibly.
Or smoking or whatever.
Yeah, smoking, drink. Oh, everybody was at the Viper Room. So yeah, they still smoked indoors back then too. So
everyone loves cocaine.
Oh my Lord! All right, so yes, kids. So next, so Ray, and then next week we'll do the Batman 30th anniversary. And then the last, the episode for 4th of July, which will drop like 2 days before. Justin, I don't know if either one of you want to show up. I know Lilith is gonna get sick all of a sudden. Yeah, Justin and I are gonna cover Captain America story for 4th of July. So.
I said I'll probably do a Superman 4th of July story because, boo, Captain America.
Well, after that one, we're gonna do like a couple of Superman episodes.
It's the summer Superman. How dare you talk about Captain America on the 4th of July?
Just again, after the Captain America, we're going to do 2 Superman before the movie review. One is Mark Waid talking about his Action Comics run. So,
okay, that's fine. I'll allow it.
It's the Bloodstone hunt for Captain America. It's going to be fun. All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right, send us your thoughts. It was one of those things in the 90s when they did like bi-weekly stories, 6-part bi-weekly stories in the summers. So kind of fits. All right, so send us your thoughts. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find us on pretty much all social media. Again, you can pick up merch at TeePublic and Spring. Help support us. And, of course, help support us by just raining random money on us as per Lilith Hellfire's orders. So, make it rain.
Make it rain.
And, of course, the Patreon. We're getting an exclusive uncensored content every month. And, again, we've been mixing it up a little bit. It could be Lilith's appearance on a panel. It could be Justin's drunken unboxing video. Or the last one was Justin and I discussing the Friday the 13th franchise in honor of the only Friday the 13th of this year, which was in this June. So.
You know what? Friday the 13th happens a lot in June, and I don't know why. It's like a really.
I'm sure it's the math. Something, it's just like, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, it's the time of summer camp, Lilith. Come on.
I don't know what it would be. Why it would do that. But...
I feel like Friday the 13th. There should always be a Friday the 13th in like October. Like I just feel like that's more the vibes.
Like I said, I'm sure it's however the calendar is set up. It just has
damn leap years, damn sun not being even, leaving us a quarter of a day.
Oh no.
But you can find the Patreon at patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. So yes, please sign up because again, always uncensored, exclusive only to our subscribers. And again, if you are a subscriber, you can suggest topics for us to discuss like Justin does. And we always promise it's
more vicious and brutal than ever.
Oh no, we drove Kristen away. All right. And of course, again, you can always catch me pretty much any social media. Well, most of them. At Podfather Phil. So I haven't gotten into it yet, but I want to try to do more just general pop culture postings, but I'm trying. She's back.
Sorry, I stopped being able to hear you, so I had to exit and come back.
I thought I said something. Okay.
No, I just was like, what?
All right. So yes, pick up Kristen's book, Dick Grayson, Boy Wonder. Again, you'll learn something. No matter how much comics you think you know, you will learn something. And of course, when you go on Amazon and buy it, you do help support an educator. I guess I'll do Hooties. Yes. Catch Justin on the Lost Library of Legends, although I haven't gotten an episode in the last few weeks, so you better get on the ball. He's probably waiting on Russell, probably. Because right now they're covering The Shadow and Sleepwalker.
No, I think I should work on a project. I want a little banner.
Banger. Okay. We'll work on something. You can blog if you want, Will.
Yeah.
You haven't had a blog.
So 2016.
Well, come up. You could do a video blog.
I'll think about it.
Tell us what new dollies you got this week. Or, oh, no, you know what you do? Can you set it up where do the gaming thing?
I haven't been thinking about Twitch lately, so I don't know. We'll see.
No. There you go. All right, kids. Thank you for joining us. I guess I can do the... All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Chichester. For another week, we have been your Capes.
Ampersand.
Lunatics.
Woo.
I could always just review Funko Pops. That'll give me like 3 years of content.
What? You say review Funko Pops? Yeah, I can do that. I've seen some crazy ones. Of course, there's a million Spider-Man ones. But...
I got the huge Indiana Jones Funko Pop, the big one, the jumbo.
What?
A jumbo Indiana Jones Funko Pop recently. I guess it didn't sell well. I got it for like $7.
What was it? Was it from that last movie?
No, it's from the first movie.
Oh.
Yeah. That's it.
They probably didn't time it right. They probably should have put it out during that last movie. Okay, I didn't time that